What is going on, everyone? Welcome back into another live edition of the Patriots Beat podcast here on the CLNS Media Network, presented by our wonderful friends over at Prize Picks. It's Brian Hines, back as always with Alex Barth. Neither of us running on much sleep here after a Thursday night win for the New England Patriots, 27-14 over the New York Jets. And Barth will start kind of big picture. Those Thursday night games, as we talked about this week, especially in the division, can always be a little bit tricky. So the Patriots survive. And your New England Patriots, yes, your New England Patriots now lead the NFL with 9 wins. Barth, could you ever see that one come in a couple months ago here?
I know this is something, and look, ultimately the game was maybe closer than some people expected, although they did cover. And that's a pretty encouraging sign about the football team. Where I was like, we really had to sweat that one out. And they covered double-digit spread. Sitting there before the game, the building was packed. Primetime game, first time in over 2 years. Those player intros, I really wish they showed them in full on TV. They were cool. They were all right. The first couple games at night, they hit different.
Mm-hmm. With the lights, they had like a special light show around the stadium.
It's like, okay, like this is what like back feels like. Like you want to qualify back in the sense that the Patriots are nationally relevant. There's the fan base is nobody's running a tankathon anymore. Like the fan base is collectively bought in on them winning games. And I know that sounds like no-brainer stuff, but it's been a rough couple of years. And it was the first, back in the day, there would be these moments at Gillette Stadium, and whether you're watching on TV or you were there in person, and I did both, where you would just get this feeling of, it's a party right now. Like it'd be a party at Gillette Stadium. Even if it was like a close game, there's just this vibe. I go back to, you want to encapsulate what the dynasty felt like as a fan. And look, this is a lot for a Thursday night win over the Jets. So just take this all with a grain of salt. But the point being, right, the Baltimore game, Josie's playing, everybody's singing, and it's still a close game. It's still tight, but like there was just this feeling that, that feel. I had a little bit of that feeling last night for the first time in a while. So best record on November 14th. They don't give out trophies for that. You don't hang banners for that. It doesn't really mean much. But when you look at Mike Vrabel talking about building up this program, I guess this is sort of where I'm trying to go with this as I work this takeout in real time. That's what happens when I do the show at 10 a.m. after a night game on 4 hours of sleep. We talked a lot, even until like a couple of weeks ago. What was Mike Vrabel's first pillar of rebuilding the program? Take advantage of bad football. And they've done that. Box checked emphatically. I don't think we really discussed much beyond the first pillar because we felt like it was going to be a more long-term thing. But maybe we should have. Do you remember what the second pillar was, Brian?
Host or win the division.
Win the division and host playoff games. Those 2A and 2B. One comes with the other, right? I guess division is host playoff game. Host playoff games is maybe another step forward.
Winning a round or two, yeah.
Last night, you saw the vision of like when they do get there, which might come sooner rather than later. Like, I think if the team's ready, everybody else is ready. And then to win that game, they're 9-2. Boy, I CBS should send me a check for how much I've hyped up this Bills-Bucks game on Sunday. I think it's on CBS. But, you look at what could happen in that game, and now it's really crystallizing like, holy crap, we might hit that second pillar this year. And so that was kind of the big takeaway for me last night.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, they're kind of at the point, they're in the driver's seat of the AFC East. Like, I don't know if would it be almost a disappointment at this point of the year if they're not hosting at least one home playoff game?
I mean, especially if Tampa wins or if the Bills lose, however you want to put it. I'll call it a Bills loss, I guess. However you want to put it. Yeah, I think, and look, I hate these things, but I think last night the graphic said they are at like 77% to win the division, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, it'd be a collapse. The game is on CBS, by the way. So,
there you go.
I'll take my check. Tony Romo, whenever you want to give it to me.
I was trying to pull up. I don't know if they would have division odds right now. I was trying to pull that up quick, but
I'm sure somebody does. We had the Tonga
Oh, yeah.
touchdown bet last night.
They are, yeah, I know. Tonga only got one snap, unfortunately. Yeah, on DraftKings Sportsbook, AFC East, Patriots are minus 320 to win the AFC East right now. Bills are plus 250. So they are heavy favorites.
The only teams I'm seeing as bigger favorites are the Colts, Eagles, and Bucks.
Yeah. So heavy favorites to win the AFC East and host home playoff games. But I think also like taking advantage of bad football. And we've realized ever since probably that Panthers game, the Patriots have kind of separated themselves from that group of teams that are picking in the top 5 or top 10 of the
Yeah.
draft. But I thought last night just really hammered that home again as well. You're down a couple guys offensively, no Booty, Mondre Stevenson, Austin Hooper is out. And it just never felt, maybe outside of the first possession, because again, they give up an opening drive touchdown. But after that, it just never kind of felt like that game felt like they were going to lose that game, right? It always felt like they were going to find a way to win that game. A lot of that comes back to Drake Maye,
Yeah.
who was really good last night, and Will Campbell said it after the game. He's biased. He thinks he's the best player in the game, but there's no game that we're out of when we have him. And that's just kind of where they're at. Like, he's the betting favorite for MVP. He's playing exceptional football. And when you look kind of big picture, maybe in the AFC, how far can this thing go? Like, if you have a quarterback playing to an MVP level like Drake Maye is right now, like the sky is kind of the limit, right, for this football team when you have that.
Yeah. I mean, he was excellent last night without the deep ball. Now, he should have had one to Mac Hollins, and credit, yeah, you like to see Mac Hollins catch that. Tip your cap to Brendan Stevens. He makes a good play to break that up. But the thing I kind of feel like we highlight something from Drake Maye every game. And I feel like he talked in the summer about wanting to stay a thrower, stay a passer when he scrambles and not just scrambling to run. And I feel like that's come in waves at times this year. Like, he'll be good about it, and then maybe he gets a little too comfortable and he starts scrambling more. And then he either turns the ball over or takes a big hit or something, and he kind of locks back in and blah, blah, blah. And he had that weird scramble early in the game where he had 4 yards. He probably should have gone down. He took off directly to the sideline when there was nothing there. Like, to me, it's once you start running parallel to the hashes, just
It's over.
It's over. Give up. And then he also, he didn't slide. He just kind of stopped. I don't know what.
Once he takes off, his brain just breaks. Like, there's something about it. It just breaks.
But anyway, after that, I thought this was one of his best games in terms of remaining a passer when moving and not even really scrambling at times, just resetting the pocket and staying in the pocket, but maneuvering to buy some time and then hitting guys in the intermediate part of the field. He obviously had the 2 unbelievable plays back-to-back to Stephon Diggs in the third quarter that were an example of that. I think one of those was a rollout. But again, staying a passer, gets really close to the sideline, flips it forwards. Another play like that's Hunter Henry. I think he had 1 or 2 to Mac Hollins like that. So did a number of other good things. The accuracy was on display as one pinpoint throw to Hunter Henry over the middle, past the defender. Obviously, the throw downfield to Hollins, which is dropped, but it's still a great, accurate throw. The touch pass to Travion Henderson, that was another example of him remaining a thrower as he moves in the pocket. So not maybe his flashiest game, but honestly, I think in a year that he's had good performances, one of his best games, just in terms of the consistency, the control with which he played. I really, because that stuff, it felt like maybe was starting to get a little loose the last few weeks. It felt like he was much better in that regard in this game. And I will give some credit too in that to the offensive line. He only got hit 4 times after getting hit. I think it was 16 times the last 2 weeks. So talked about this in the Atlanta game. He never settled in. Was that because he was getting hit? And then in Tampa, he did settle in, but he was still taking some shots. Kept that rivalry jersey pretty clean last night. So I thought the guys up front did a better job as well.
Yeah. 281 yards. I thought we were going to get the first 300-yard game.
We were close. A couple drops away. He earned it.
We were very close. Yeah. He had the box score, like 25 of 34 completion attempts, but a lot of those couple drops, couple throwaways, like the completion percentage over expected or the adjusted were definitely much higher than the box score showed. So very accurate. You went through a lot of those throws, a couple layered ones too over the middle to Stephon Diggs, but you hit the nail on the head too with the pocket movement. Like, that was the most impressive part to me. Those back-to-back plays with Diggs, the first one especially, to have both kind of tackles closing in on you. and the 2-hand on the ball rip through, like, oh boy, that one was special. And that's what we've been talking about, like protecting the football, keeping 2 hands on the ball. Like, that's what we see them start practice with almost every day, is those type of drills: 2 hands on the ball, ripping through, stepping up in the pocket, and then hitting Stephon Diggs on the run there over the middle of the field for a big gain. So he was awesome last night. That area did definitely stand out, even though just 1 touchdown, like, wasn't that flashy, but did have a really good game to get the job done there. But we were talking about it before we jumped on here, Barth, like going up against Justin Fields. Where are all those people from the draft a couple years ago, right?
I gotta shout out my buddy. I was looking for a different text, and you can like type in and search.
Yep.
Asking me in March of 2024 why the Patriots were not trading a 2nd-round pick for Justin Fields, in part because nobody on the board at 3 is going to help them more than that. But I don't want to dump on. Look, I don't want to dump on Justin Fields too much. Like, he wasn't great, and he has his issues. That whole thing's a mess. He had more success with the Steelers last year. It's big picture, but yeah, that was rough to watch at times. And I'm a big proponent. That game challenged one of my core beliefs about football. I'm a big proponent of, if you can get 2 hands on the ball as a receiver, you should probably catch it. But look, the first one to A.D. Mitchell up the sideline, like, that's a drop. That's on Mitchell. The second one, I know he gets 2 hands on it, but there's no defender within 5 yards of him. He's past the sticks. You don't really need to lead him anywhere. And he's still, like, has to go over the wrong shoulder, twisting back over his head. You know which one I'm talking about? Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's a clear drop, but also you gotta put that on him more if you're Justin Fields.
Yeah, it wasn't a great game from Justin Fields through the air. He just doesn't see the field well as a passer. He had one, like, John Mechie was running pretty much wide open over the middle, and he's like holding, and then he throws it like just in time for Christian Gonzalez to kind of fire downhill and break it up. So he's just not seeing the field well. But yeah, that Justin Fields, Marvin Harrison pairing might not have worked as well back in the draft there a few years ago than Drake Maye has been working out for the Patriots. But elsewhere offensively, another huge game for Travion Henderson. Hat trick, 3 total touchdowns, 2 on the ground, 1 through the air. Wasn't these big home runs like it was in Tampa, but good to kind of see him grind out some yards, especially in between the tackles. Mike Vrabel even said, maybe his most impressive part of the game was those last 3 carries, right, where you need 1 first down to ice the game. And it looks like he was going to get stopped on 3rd down, and then kind of breaks a couple tackles, works through the line of scrimmage, and picks up the first down. So he's playing a lot of snaps. I actually have the numbers over weeks 1 through 8. He played 165 total snaps, which is 32% of their offensive snaps. Last 3 weeks, obviously without Ramondre Stevenson, 160 snaps, and that's 82% of their offensive snaps. So a lot of snaps, but it is good to see Henderson get a little bit more comfortable here as he works through his rookie year.
Yeah, and a career high 25 touches last night. 24, I think.
So 24.
Career high 24 touches last night on a short week. Had 18 2 weeks ago, then 15 against Tampa. So they're working him a lot. I was mixed on his performance, or I should say the run game's performance as a whole. I think when they needed him, he showed up in a big way, and that's great. And they had struggled on the goal line a little bit last week and fixed that. 2 big 7-yard runs where he keeps the legs churning, gets a little bit of a push on the first one. On the second one, the guys took care of it before he needed the push. Really good blocks from Jared Wilson, Will Campbell, Mike Onwenu on that one, Morgan Moses. And then the runs at the end of the game, kind of the same thing, where keeps legs churning, earns yards after contact, hard fought first down. Didn't do a ton in between, averaged 2.4 yards a carry. And I still just think he's going to be more effective. Maybe he's ultimately the starting running back and the lead back, but he's not a feature back. And they got to get, when he's not ripping off these big runs outside of those key moments, which take a lot out of you, there's not much there. They got to get a guy like Ramondre Stevenson or Terrell Jennings back to split with him who can grind out some more of those yards. And I think that's going to only make Henderson more effective. You don't want to wear him down here late in the year. So the big runs, he was great. And the run, I keep saying him, like the offense as a whole, I thought the offensive line was great. And the Ben Brown wrinkle was nice, 4.5 yards per carry with him on the field. They're just over 2 with him off the field, excluding the kneel downs, which some people will be like, yeah, they had 6 offensive linemen. Of course, they were better. That's a pretty big gap even for that split.
Mm-hmm.
But they got to get one of these other backs healthy because I don't think using Henderson this much is sustainable.
You just pissing off the fantasy football community, aren't you?
Yeah, I know, but like, look, he gave you 3 touchdowns last night. They let him score in the one in Tampa, where you could argue he shouldn't have scored. Like,
the fantasy football community had their moment the last 2 weeks.
Yes, you're more than after everybody cut him, right? If you cut him, that's on you. It's the meme with the guy,
the diamonds,
the axe and the diamonds. That's trading on Henderson fantasy owners.
But no, I agree. Like, I do think they need Ramondre back here, or at least Terrell Jennings, who was active, but it didn't play a snap. So that looked like it was just a pure break glass in case of emergency thing if they lose Travion Henderson or Dearness Johnson in that one. But if you get Ramondre back to kind of take some of those, body blows in between the tackles, some of those short yardage runs, and then mix in Henderson as well. I still think you want him in that 15 touch range, but keep him a little bit more fresh, because just playing 82% of the offensive snaps is a lot as for any running back in the league. So hopefully they can get with this mini bye, get one of those backs back and kind of give him a breather and keep him fresh, so you get some of those more home run plays that you saw down in Tampa Bay. But elsewhere, pass catchers, Stephon Diggs, he continues to be awesome. Another 100-yard game, 9 catches, 105 yards. That chemistry with Drake Maye is growing great. And Matt Collins, too, steps up again without Kayshon Boutte, 4 catches, 64 yards. So what'd you see from those guys, or those Patriots pass catchers?
I thought Diggs was excellent in this game. Diggs, to me, we talked about him being in that Edelman role, and I think that was as clear an example as you have of him being the engine of the offense. It wasn't, he had a catch, I think, at the late in the third quarter, early in the fourth quarter, or something. I looked down, it's starting to pile up for Diggs a little bit. And I looked at the stats, I'm like 8 for 80. Wow, he's been, I didn't realize he'd been that involved, and kind of quietly did it. And then he has the big one late to get over 100 yards, third 100-yard game of the year. But I mean, how many times do we see Julian Edelman have that game? Chip away, makes one big catch in there. 9 catches, 7 of them for first downs. Engine of the offense. He's really, realistically, this is what you hope for when they signed him. We kind of knew we weren't going to get Buffalo Stephon Diggs. He's 31 years old. He's coming off torn ACL. We talked about his ability to reinvent his game. And as that, I don't want to say safety blanket. I think it's a little more than that. But I guess I'll go back to that engine of the offense thing.
Definitely. Yeah. 7 receptions, 62 yards on 8 targets, under 10 air yards, right? So just kind of that safety blanket, as you just said, and then hits a couple of those big explosives, couple 20-yard gains, and then he has 100 yards on the day. So this is kind of the version of Stephon Diggs you saw in Houston last year for those 7 games, however many he played. Kind of that chain mover underneath for CJ Stroud, but he's just been a huge part of this offense, huge part of this team, even off the field as well. So good to see him continuing to play well. Matt Collins as well there. The one receiver who didn't make much of an impact, Kyle Williams, 0 catches on 3 targets, didn't seem to be on the same page as Drake all the time. What do you think is kind of going on there?
Yeah, you said, he's getting open. He's getting open, but there's just they're off, and I get why. There was a clip going around where he beat somebody on one of the throws to Diggs, and like he might not be Drake's first look because they're not on the same page right now. You look at that one where Drake throws it deep, Williams he stopped running or threw a comeback. Also could have maybe made a more competitive play on the deep ball in the end zone. I don't know if they could have caught it, but done more to prevent a potential interception. It's just not clicking right now. Maybe as they keep working together, and we'll, when Boutte comes back, who knows what that'll look like. But maybe as they keep working together, that will build up. But just, it feels like a chemistry thing. I don't think he's not running bad routes or anything like that. I just think he's not getting to the right place at the right time.
I think it's still, like, he is getting open. Like, I was just watching back before we jumped on. Like, there are plays he's open. Even the 4th down one to Pop Douglas, like, he smokes this guy. He's wide open downfield, but Drake is probably like, it's 4th and short. I'm going to go to Pop Douglas, pick up 7 yards and get a fresh set of downs. So I think it's encouraging that, this isn't like a N'Keal Harry case where, like, he's just getting blanketed or, even like Tyquan in a way, like he's just not getting open. he's getting open. So you would just hope that the chemistry develops, and that's kind
I
of the
will
one thing.
I will say to that, and look, every situation is different, so don't take this out of context. But you mentioned Akil, you mentioned Taekwon, fair. Like those guys struggled to separate. We did kind of do this thing with Jalen Polk last year, where it's like he's open, and then when he started getting the ball, it was now they gave him a really short leash, and I think Kyle Williams has a much better mentality than Jalen Polk did. But he is getting open, and look, last week got open, got a chance, made the play, boom. So once they get on the same page, you hope it goes the right way. But I can hear people screaming at us. He said that about Jalen Polk last year, so.
I just wonder if that's going to be a next year thing at this point, because especially when Booty
Yeah.
comes back, like talking to Kyle, like he doesn't practice much with Drake Maye because he's like the fourth receiver. Like they have Booty, they have Matt Collins out there, then Diggs and Douglas get theirs. Like he's the fourth or fifth receiver on the depth chart. So there's just not much time to build that chemistry. You wonder if he's just going to be a guy when their whole room is healthy. Like hopefully he can give you a splash play here or there, and he does bring some value even just as a field stretcher if he's not getting the ball, because
Right.
he does have that vertical speed element. But I do kind of wonder if it's going to take an off season and next training camp to develop that chemistry full where he's playing a consistent amount and getting a consistent amount of targets. But he is getting open. He does block his ass off as well for a smaller guy. So I know the box score wasn't great, but I do think there is some still encouraging stuff out there for Kyle Williams there. But anything else on the offensive side of football? You mentioned Ben Brown. I thought Josh McDaniels had some good kind of personnel
Yeah.
wrinkles, missing some guys with injuries. But anything else on the offensive side of the ball there?
I think that's pretty much it.
All right. Let's jump over to the defense. Before we do that, of course, this episode is brought to you guys by Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks, and the weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Patriots are off this weekend. We can watch NFL Sunday like normal human beings, Barth, this weekend. So maybe we'll fire up a Prize Picks lineup, and everyone else listening can do that as well across the rest of the league. Josh Allen in that Bucks game, more or less than 270 pass yards. You can throw Baker Mayfield in there as well for your lineup. So go across the whole NFL. Some good games as well out there. Bengals, Steelers, Niners, Cardinals, Rams, Seahawks should be a great one. Chiefs, Broncos as well. And then it ends Sunday night, Lions, Eagles. So plenty of options for you guys to make a Prize Picks lineup, or you can extend it to other sports as well. We had Morgan Geeky in our lineup last night, goal scorer. Put that in Kevin's face over there, Morgan Geeky, even though the Bruins lost. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup all over on Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. All right, to the defense, Barth, first drive touchdown. We mentioned it earlier. Are you worried about this, or like they just shut it down pretty much the rest of the game? Like, can we just not really get on them for that?
I mean, look, I was saying that you can't do it against good teams, and then they beat Tampa, even though they got carved up. So I don't know. I don't think it's sustainable. It shouldn't be sustainable. I don't have much evidence at this point to the contrary. I just, outside of watching football for 30 years, it's the weird thing to me. It's not like there's one thing that they're getting beat on every week. And maybe that's part of the reason they're having so much trouble fixing it. It's not like, oh, well, this route combination's killing them, or they're struggling with these sorts of runs, or, this, right? We're not talking about they're having issues with X on opening drives. We're just talking about they're having issues on opening drives. For instance, last night, the big thing that stood out to me, there are two things. One, credit where credit's due. You want to talk about showing up to the stadium ready to play. The Jets offensive line came out just on, hair on fire. And they weren't just beating the Patriots defensive line off the ball. They were getting them on the ground. And then once they got them on the ground, you see these blocks where the offensive lineman kind of stays on top of the defensive lineman. And so Justin Fields and Breece Hall, I keep watching them cut all these runs back. And I'm like, where's the defender? And, he's got Olu Fashanu lying on top of him 5 yards away from the play, like completely removed. So, and we haven't really seen that from the Patriots defensive line. So they're able to run up and down the field on that. It wasn't really an issue for the rest of the game. So they fixed it. And it hasn't been like, that's not something I've noticed on other opening drives where they've had the issue. So it's not like you look at that as a big picture issue. And this Jets offensive line is good. So, and then the other thing was they went 4 for 4 on third downs, where the Patriots came in the 5th best third down defense in the league. And, after that, so the Jets start 4-4. They convert 4 of their next 10, including a couple on that garbage time drive late. So, yeah, I'm just confused. Like, it's almost like you plug one hole and then another bursts loose, and maybe that's what it is they fix one thing, another thing falls apart. I don't know. Like I said, it shouldn't be sustainable. I don't have any evidence to the contrary at this point. So I can't rip them too much for it. But the weird thing to me is it's not one thing. They're kind of all over the place with it.
I know. But it is crazy. Like, out of 11 opening drives, they've given up points on 8 of them, and 6 of them are touchdowns. So it's definitely crazy.
And there was a missed field goal on one too, right? If I remember correctly.
There might have been. I don't know the games that they didn't give up.
Miami was one. That was a punt.
Was
Buffalo.
Was week 1?
No, because it's Miami, Buffalo, and Atlanta are the 3 games. I don't think there's a missed field goal. I'm thinking of something else. But anyway.
Okay. But yeah, it is a crazy trend. And we kept saying it's going to bite them, come back to bite them. It didn't against one of the better offenses they played in Tampa. So we'll just have to see how long that they can sustain this. But yeah, it is just, I don't know. Each team has a different opening script, and they've been able to make it work against them. But yeah, 56 yards on the ground, that opening one. I think it was only like 65 to 70 yards the rest of the game after that. So definitely some improvement there as well. But another big thing on defense, they lost Milton Williams in this game, was kind of in and out there with an ankle injury. Ultimately, doesn't sound too bad. Mike Vrabel said he wanted to come back in the game, but they thought it was best to kind of get ahead on the rehab and the treatment there. So maybe the mini bye, he'll be back. But it was good to see Christian Barmore get his first sack out there. And then this does feel like if Milton Williams has to miss a game or two, like this is a good spot with the depth they have on that defensive line with guys like Corey Durden. Joshua Farmer didn't play in this game, but he's shown flashes. Even Eric Gregory, like his rookie debut after, being on the inactive list the last 10 weeks, comes in and run stop first play. So if they do have to miss Milton Williams for a game or two, feels like they have some good depth there.
Yeah, credit to those guys for stepping up. I don't mind them being a little cautious with Milton Williams, and I wonder if the reason they didn't roll him out until very late in the game, like he plays last snap 6.5 minutes ago in the second quarter, they didn't rule him out. Did they rule him out? Was it just before, just after the 2-minute warning of the second half?
It was late, yeah.
It was late. So I wonder if there was an element of, if this thing gets close, if this thing gets away from us, we're gonna put him back in the game. But I do like that they were cautious about it. Probably made sense, and credit to guys for stepping up. Obviously, Barmore gets his first sack of the year, a couple more pressures. He was good, but see Tonga and Durden play more. And then how about Eric Gregory? Like you said, hadn't played in months. First NFL game, he had the patch on his jersey. First snap, they run right at him. He gets a stop. Told me after the game, he was like, yeah, I was ready for it. So did they find another guy maybe on the defensive line? You hope Milton Williams is back. Obviously, it looks a lot different with Milton Williams out there and, forcing teams to pick one of Barmore and Williams to double team. But, the fact he's tweeting during the game, Mike Vrabel, kind of saying, yeah, it was sort of precautionary.
He was out there with Vrabel too, like greeting all the guys.
Right. That doesn't feel, I'm not a doctor, but like, I don't know, like, what do we think? Like maybe sprain kind of thing.
Maybe.
He was walking around in the locker room after the game. It wasn't on crutches or anything like that. So
yeah, wasn't in a boot. I think he had a compression sleeve over it.
He was taped up. That was it. But
yeah. So
yeah, I'm not a doctor. I don't know, but nothing that we saw screamed like, oh, this could be like a long-term thing.
Definitely. So that's good news, injury front. But I did think Barmore having that game, gets this first sack of the year, which he's been close. He's been piling up the pressures, and
he was due
4 other pressures which the last 2 weeks he's been kind of quiet. You know, we got doubled a lot 2 weeks ago. Last week against Tampa, in and out with that back injury. So you were wondering if he was maybe hampered by something the last 2 weeks, but it was quiet. So it was kind of good to see Christian Barmore first get a sack. That had to feel good for him and you know, his teammates and Vrabel and Stephon Diggs, who's been, you know, giving him a hard time for that. So good to see Christian Barmore get on the board there and end the kind of cold streak. But anything else on defense that kind of stood out to you in this one? The run defense we kind of talked about, but anything else there?
I thought good game. Yeah, not too much to talk about in the secondary against this Jets offense, obviously, right? Craig Woodson, don't fall down. That would kind of be the one thing. I thought Jack Gibbons had a really good game. He was all over the place. He's played well for a couple games now. I wonder if he mixes in more even once Christian Ellis comes back. But beyond that, Elijah Ponder first career sack. Yeah, Harold Landry
second sack.
Second in a row. Yeah. I don't know. Harold Landry, I think, could use the long week. He hasn't been right since that Tennessee game. So
yeah,
not too much on the secondary in this game. It's not. We already talked about Justin Fields.
I'll give you one in the secondary. Del Pettis.
Okay.
Just
that's a good one.
Seems you know, minimal snaps, but every time he's in there, he kind of seems to make a play. So big fourth down pass breakup there. Then you see the videos in the locker room after the game, like Mike Vrabel says, this guy might need some more opportunities, right? Because he's in there and taking advantage of his opportunities. So maybe we get some more Del Pettis in the offense. Maybe he's their tight end stopper that we've been looking for. You know, that fourth down pass breakup was on Mason Taylor. So maybe we get some more Del Pettis kind of coming off this mini bye because he has been making some plays. But that's the defense. Barth, any special teams thoughts to kind of wrap us up here?
Yeah, I thought so. They tried something different on the kickoff. They used Brendan Schooler as the up man. They probably did that because they're defendant running back. I actually like that look, given the way Schooler will initiate contact.
It was a specific game wrinkle, apparently. So
okay.
Apparently off something the Jets did, but
maybe take a longer look at that.
Yeah.
But I also just think Chisholm, I don't know that he's ever going to be like this breakaway returner, but he does look more comfortable back there. He's looking better. The Jets kicked it short to him, so the average wasn't that great. I think it was like 23 yards of return, but he's getting back to the 30-yard line. We got to the past 30-yard line twice, then once to 28. So that's kind of where you want to be. You know, I long-term, is that his spot? I don't know. But for the rest of this year, I think he's thinking less back there in a good way. Like he's just kind of going and hitting the hole and he's embracing the contact a little bit more. So I do think he's getting more comfortable back there and he's, you know, there's room to improve, but he's getting better in that role.
Yeah, I do like him back there. And I know he's dying to break one. I know it'd be tough. You know, he's not Travion Henderson or Antonio Gibson, obviously, but he is a really good decision maker. Like couple weeks, he's got one like right on the goal line and he makes a good kind of play just to kneel it, which doesn't seem like much, but you get the ball to 35, you know, that's a big deal nowadays. And then, that look that they had last night got him past the 30 or close to the 30, which just kind of seems like their target zone in that range. So he doesn't have the breakaway speed, but I think, you know, Chisholm's doing a pretty good job in that regard. They also had good, you know, kick coverage, punt coverage. That was an explosive Jets return team.
How about that punt from Behringer late?
Very good. Yeah. So it was good to kind of, you know, not give him a big play in that regard. And then Andy Borregales, you know, missed his first kick, field goal since week 1, but bounced back with 2 makes there in the second half. So good bounce back from him there. So pretty good overall special teams performance, not giving the Jets any life in that aspect of the game there. So good stuff there. So last thing I got for you, the rivalry jerseys in action, live action. What'd you think of them in the field? I like the field with the end zones painted. That was a nice touch, but
the field was great. Jerseys I thought looked better in action than I was expecting. You know, some of the pictures that came out, I'd said I liked the helmet. The jersey was fine. I think just looking at social media and people's response, there did seem to be a split between the people who were at the game and the people who were watching on TV. And that happens sometimes. I wonder if they just look better in person than they did on TV. I liked them. I wouldn't want them to be the everyday look, but I think as a once-a-year thing, I liked them. So, yeah, and you know, the team did a great job kind of making a lot around it and all that. So Yeah, it was. I thought it was cool. I just go back to like it being at night in the entrance and all that. Like the whole thing just felt. The last time there was a game like that, oddly enough, and some people made these jokes during the game. Primetime game, maybe like felt like kind of not a turning point for the team, but like hey, you're on national TV. This is a good chance to remind everybody who you are. Kind of moment was in 2002 when the Bears came in here on a Monday night, also with Justin Fields. That was also a special uniform game. That was the debut of the Silver Pants with the New Jerseys. And we all obviously know how that game went. That was, you could argue, the beginning of the end for a lot in New England. But that game going in felt like, hey, this should be something. Like Mac Jones is back. He's healthy. Bears team isn't that good. We got Silver Pants going. It's at night. We're on Monday Night Football. Like, let's go. That felt like it was supposed to be a reintroduction. The Patriots were at three, but they'd won 2 in a row. It felt like they were about to make a push, and they just didn't. So look, I've now compared this game, this what is ultimately kind of outside the uniforms, a forgettable Thursday night game against the Jets, to the 2014 playoff game against the Ravens, maybe the best game at Gillette Stadium of all time, and that Monday night game against the Bears, maybe the worst game at Gillette Stadium of all time. But this game felt like what that game was supposed to be. Like, just kind of not like a marquee opponent or anything, but hey, like this is like, hey, the New England Patriots are back in your face. And I think with the jerseys, I think with it being on prime time, with the way Drake Maye played, all that, it kind of felt like that.
Yep. It was almost 2 years too. It was 2 years and 1 day to the date of that Germany game against the Colts, which was kind of like
it's also not a great one.
The true end of that. Like, that's when it was like, okay, this is not going to work. Like, this is going to end. And now 2 years later, here you go. It worked out pretty well.
Feeling a lot better
with the decisions they made. So, New England Patriots 9-2, atop of the NFL right now. We'll see if that can hold.
I mean, they're going to get, I forget, I just did the Sports Hub podcast, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself. They're going to get that could stick for a little bit because the Broncos
have the
Chiefs. Colts are on the bye, but then next week the Chiefs play the Colts. So the other two 8-2 teams get the Chiefs back to back. So one of two things is probably going to happen. Either the Patriots, and they'll have to beat the Bengals next week to really capitalize on this, but either the Patriots get some like actual breathing room at the top of the conference, or the Chiefs are frauds. Like, one of those two things is, even if they split, Patriots get a little breathing room. Chiefs are kind of frauds, especially if they lose to, I think they're hosting the Colts. So like that kind of works out for them, because people talked about the Patriots' easy schedule. Broncos and the Colts haven't exactly had a, gauntlet either, especially the Broncos. Theirs gets really tough here down the stretch. So can I call that a fraud bowl? Broncos
Go
Chiefs?
for it.
That's a fraud bowl. I don't know who the fraud is. I'm going to guess the Broncos. That's my guess. It's a soft guess. It's not a take. It's not a prediction. It's a soft guess. I think the Broncos are the frauds. But somebody coming out of that game, somebody's getting called a fraud. Either the Broncos finally play a good team and lose, especially if they lose definitively at home, or the Chiefs are 5-5. They're at 500. Then they got to go play the Colts, who I think are better than the Broncos. So,
yeah, their Chiefs are coming off the bye. They're at Broncos, then versus Colts, and then they have the Broncos again in Week 17 at home.
Yeah,
that's a Thursday night game. So
that could, the Broncos win this week. It could be for the division. But
yeah,
you want to make a fraud bowl pick, Brian?
Besides that game, or in
no,
that
I'm
game?
saying, like, who's the fraud?
Oh, Bo Nix. Come on, it's Bo Nix. He has not been good. There's that one, all those charts that go on Twitter. There's that one where it's like missed air yards, and it's like Bo Nix just like way in the right. And it's like, that makes sense.
I mean, he is that class as Mac Jones.
Yeah.
As we said on this show at the time.
There we go. Man, we might have had some good quarterback takes.
We might have figured that out.
How about that? So
we got to see what, let's not discount 9. We got to see what 9 does.
True. 9.
But is he Trey Lance? We'll see.
Yeah, he's hurt again, right? Didn't he hurt his hand?
Trey Lance or
9.
JJ. Well, I think JJ McCarthy gets hurt.
Okay.
I don't think 9 gets hurt.
9
is limited with a hand bruise. Better be his throwing hand.
I think he threw it and like nailed someone's helmet or shoulder pad or something.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to. That always hurts. You don't want to do that as a quarterback.
Yeah,
He was wearing
that one.
padding on his hand. Okay, it is his throwing hand. So he said he was throwing left-handed at practice. Maybe Nine's left-handed.
There you go. All right, we'll wrap it up here. We're gonna go get some sleep. Although Barth will be on Felger at Mass.
Yeah, no sleep for me. I got to go right into the sports hub.
Listen to that 2 to 6.
And then
he'll be on radio all weekend, so you can just keep listening, Barth.
I'll tease this too. So I'm on 2 to 5 tomorrow, live from the Brook Casino up in Nashua. We are going to have Vince Wilfork joining us, I believe, sometime in the 3 o'clock hour. I'll follow me on Twitter. I'll post it. But if you want to catch, I definitely, Vince was at the game, so definitely have some good questions for him about what he thinks of this team. Maybe he can figure out the slow defensive starts. Yeah.
There you go. So no sleep for Barth. So make sure you guys are listening to the Sports Hub to hear him. You can follow him on Twitter at RealAlexBarth. Head over to 985thesportshub.com as well for his online Patriots content. You can follow me on Twitter at I am Brian Hines and head over to patspulpit.com for our Patriots and game coverage there as well. Make sure you guys are also locked on to Patriots Press Pass. I believe we're going to be off here until our preview for the Bengals. So could be a little bit, so that make sure you guys are locked on. Taylor, Mike, everyone else will have some great content regarding this game and going forward next week. So like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn on your notifications so you'll know when we're coming back and going live as well. And if you guys are just listening on audio, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere else. We would appreciate if you guys subscribe there. So thanks everyone for jumping on with us this morning. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the stress-free football around the league, and we will see you guys next week.